Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. And if you've watched my channel for a while, you know that every so often I like to dig into my scraps box and create a layout using those scraps just to get things used up. And sometimes it's nice not to be focused on a collection, but just to create your own collection, if you like, from the colours that you can pull from your photo. So this is a photo of James in his college shirt. At the end of term this year, he was presented with a lovely measuring set from Clark's, precision set, because he had 100% attendance and he'd been working hard on his course. So that was really nice. It was a lovely surprise. So I just printed this photo in 3x4, and you can see I pulled out loads of papers that match the colours in the photo. So he's got a green shirt on, the Clark precision set is blue, so I focused in on those colours, and there's a little bit of yellow in the background. So you'll see how I bring all these colours together. So I'm just working with the shapes that I've got on the scraps of paper. You can see they're all different sizes, so I'm just going to trim those down into blocks, and I want to create a blocky photo mat for the photo to sit on. The photo's been matted on white cardstock and then black. It seems to be my favourite thing to do at the moment. It really makes the photos pop. So that's what I've done. So you can see I'm just trimming all of these papers down and trying to decide how they're going to work on the page. At the beginning of this, I thought I was going to create a vertical layout down the centre of the page, and that's what I'm trying to build here. But it doesn't, in the end I decide that I want to go a different direction, so I move it all to the left. But for now I'm just building things up, and you can see moving things around, tearing bits and pieces, trying to work out the layers. I'm not 100% happy, but you just have to keep going sometimes and see if it works out. I realise that blue piece isn't big enough when I bring the photo in, so I'm going to rip that in half just to extend it behind the photo. So at this point, this is how I think I'm going to go, but it quickly changes. But this just shows what you can do with just offcuts and scraps of paper, and how you can really make them into a beautiful layout at the end. So this piece I'm cutting in half to add half to each side, because again I want to stretch it a little bit like I did with that blue piece. When it's being tucked behind pieces, you wouldn't know that it's been torn in half or cut in half. So just faffing about and trying to decide what to do. And it's all a little bit too symmetrical for me. And when I bring in the wood piece that I want to use, this is one of James's JD 3D wood words, I realise that it's just not right. So I tried bringing this polka dot piece in, and I'm going to cut that in half to add half to the top and half to the bottom. And I think it's at this point that I think, no, it's just not working for me, so let's try something different. I don't know whether it's that wood word down the right hand side, or when I bring this circle piece in that says happy days, that I realise I'm just not happy. That circle piece is actually punched out using a circle punch from one of the Pink Fresh Studio papers. It had all those circles on it. So this is where I'm moving everything to the left hand side now. And again, it takes a little while to work out how to position everything. I'm thinking about moving that diagonal paper so that I've got half up and half down. Trying to work out how to incorporate those spotty pieces in without them overlapping the ends. I don't like to cut things down unless I have to. So once I've got them in a certain size, I try and work with the size I've got. So I move those vertically rather than horizontally. And then things are just starting to build up now, and I'm much happier with how this shape is coming. I like the steps down from the top left going down towards the right hand side. So much happier with that. So that's the shape that I'm going to work with now. And I've got that little Joy rub-on from the Spectrum Gardenia collection from 49 Market that had just been left on my desk when I packed them away the other day. So I decided I'm going to bring that in today as well. So I'm just starting to glue this stack down, and you can see I haven't actually distressed any of the edges yet, because once again I'm trying not to, but that doesn't work. I do go back in with my fingernails and distress them all shortly. So just gluing everything down to each other to get the mat all sorted. And it's a bit of a faff because I have cut some of these pieces apart, like that zigzag piece, the black and white piece at the back. That's two pieces that have been butted together. And just checking that everything's straight. You can see the cut line there. Also fighting with my glue a little bit. It's still gamming up a little bit and getting blocked. So just having to be careful there. You can see it's not coming in terribly well, but it's given me enough glue, so it's fine. Just keep going. So much happier with the positioning of all that. Like I say, it's not quite as symmetrical as it was before, so that makes me happy. And then just adding, you can see how hard I'm squeezing to get the glue out there. Just adding the photo down. I'm just sticking it flat to the page because I want to overlap this wood piece onto the photo, so it's much easier when it's flat to the page. So I stick it that way down to start with, but I do move it around eventually when I start faffing with things. Bringing in one of our flare badges from Hey Little Magpie just to add another circular element to that Happy Days piece. And then I want to bring some trims in. So first of all, some black pom-pom trim, which I'm going to stick down underneath that straight edge of that green piece. So I realised that if I want to do that, I probably need to glue the whole thing down first. So that's what I'm going to do now. So just getting it all stuck down. Oh, here we go. Glue getting stuck. But I get there in the end. It's a bit choppy because I have to keep clearing the nozzle, so I just cut those bits out of the video. You don't need to see me doing that. So I don't want this pom-pom trim to go all the way down the length, so I just cut it so that it's about 1/2 inch short of each end, so it's probably about 11 inches in length. And again, it's just providing an interest for the eye because all the different pieces of paper are all different lengths as well. So just adding a bead of glue underneath that green paper and then getting that pom-pom trim stuck down. And then bringing these circular elements back in again. And then I decide that I want to bring in some American seam binding again, just to add some interest to the paper. I'm really enjoying doing this at the moment. So here's that wood piece back, and you can see I've turned it up the other way. I'm much happier with it this way round. So I'm just going to glue that down to the photo now that everything's stuck to the page. And then adding the rub-on into that little space that's been created at the bottom there. Again, couldn't find the rubbing stick, so I'm just using the back of a pen to get that rubbed down. There we go. And here's the seam binding that I was talking about. So this is a beautiful moss green. Goes really nicely with the colours in James's shirt and in the papers that I've picked out. And just gluing that down. And I still want a little bit of that polka dot beige paper to show, but I'm not too bothered if most of it's covered because it's still just another layer on the layout. And you can see it peeking out from underneath that seam binding. So once again, just ruching it up along that line and then trimming it off when I'm happy with the length. And that looks beautiful, layered up with that pom-pom trim. I'm really pleased. So now I pull out this pale blue paper. It was another scrap that I'd grabbed for originally. And I'm just going to create a little tag to come out from the right-hand side of that photo. So just cutting a rectangle, and then I use my circle punch my hole punch to add a hole, and then I'm using my hole reinforcer punch to add a little reinforcer piece there. And that brings that green across the page that I've got on that big strip on the left-hand side. So adding some of my wax twine, and this is a dark green, like a bottle green, to match James's shirt, and I'm just going to tie that in a bow. So adding some tangled twine behind my flare badge, and that's a beautiful pale blue that works really nicely with the other pieces that I've added to the layout. So just gluing that down, gluing the string down first, or it's thread, and then adding the flare badge on top. And this is where I tie that bow. Just trim off the excess shortly, just getting it so that the loops are the right size for me. And this is where I decide that I do want to curl up all those edges, so I'm just going to go around each of the papers and just use my fingernails to rough them up. It doesn't take too long, and I much prefer the texture that gives to the page. So it doesn't, as I say, it doesn't take too long. It's just a case of running my fingernails across, and I quite like, some of it tore a little bit, and I do like that roughed up look. James is doing motorsport engineering at college, so I think this goes nicely with the engineering sort of feel. So almost there now. And then I decide that I do want to bring in something else to that left-hand side of the layout. So that blue paper that I used to create that tag on the right-hand side, I'm just going to run through my big shot, you can see there, with the LE Studio border metal dies. And it's like a notebook edge that I've got there. So I just tuck it underneath that striped paper, and then I'll just rough up these bits so that it looks like it's been pulled out of a notebook. And I really like how that finishes off that left-hand side there. So now, again, bringing in that green paper to create a tab using my EK Success tab punch. And I'm going to go through all my old stickers that are in this folder. So just seeing what I can find. I find this little notebook piece that says important reminder. So that's just going to be stuck just slightly over the photo there and over that tab. Then a little tab at the top that just says today, but it's a nice colour. So bringing that in. And then this little tag, and I do layer it on top of the other tag underneath there, just so that I've got a bit of the foiling showing, and I like the layer that that's created. Then I find this word phrase that says some kind of wonderful, so I add that to the bottom because I think that will work nicely. And then these are little phrase stickers, and I find one that says dreams, so I'm adding that underneath. That's some kind of wonderful. And then I found another one that says this happened, so I add that to the tab. And then another tab, I think these were Lily Bee ones, and that's got the yellow that I mentioned is in the photo a little bit, so I just add that to the top there as another layer. And it brings a warmth into the page a little bit as well. So just getting everything glued down. These are quite old stickers, so I want to make sure that they're stuck down with some glue so that they survive. And then I'm going to come in with my journaling at the bottom. And it's just a tiny bit of journaling, and it just says, a lovely surprise from your tutor for 100% attendance in your first term. So now coming in with the date stamp. And again, I don't know what's going on with me, but I forgot to change the year. So instead of 2023, it said 2013. So I just changed that one into a 2. So, gosh, I really need to sort myself out. So just for good luck, I change it to 2023 and then add the date down the left-hand side there. So now I'm going to come in with a couple of these little hole reinforcer punches in black. I've just got one there that I'm going to try, and I like it, so I punch a couple more to add down the page. I really love these as little elements on the page. The black really makes things pop. And then finally I'm going to come in with my black soot distress oxide, the spray one, and a paintbrush, and just add a few splatters. Just because that Joy rub-on had some splatters on it, I thought it would help to add a few more about the page. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you've enjoyed this process, and I shall see you again very soon. Bye.